Character and paragraph formatting are the main ways of formatting type within InDesign, the premier professional layout application. I'm going to briefly go over them, but first let's talk about the difference between the two and how we set this thing up. Notice I've got the character and the paragraph formatting dialog boxes here. They are windows, actually. And if you go to the window menu, you can pop out here where it says Type in Tables, and there you can see that the character and the paragraph formatting windows are open. Another thing that's open is the control palette. Even though it's a window, I refer to it as a palette simply because it acts like a window. You can move it around and it can get closed. But basically, it is a contextual formatting control center. Whatever you have selected, if it be a, for example here, if it be just a simple device, then the ways that you can format that device are shown up here. If it happens to be, I'm going to use the type box over here. If it happens to be a type box, it changes to type. And I can highlight this type here, of course, and you can see all the different ways of formatting it. And we get down to where we have character formatting and control formatting. So we have the character formatting controls and the paragraph formatting controls. Character deals with actual keystrokes. So if you want to change something, and let's go to an empty page and begin formatting some copy here. I'm going to use my type tool here from my toolbox. Again, it is a window too, and it can be moved around. This window application toolbar is accessed here from the Windows menu. So if it actually gets turned off, then you can find it here and turn it on again. I like this orientation with two columns, but you can come up here in the upper right hand corner and click on it and configure it to one column that is vertical or one column that is horizontal. But again, like I said, I like them more compact like this to the left. So with my type tool selected, I'm going to press and drag marquee and area to create a frame. Actually, it's a type frame. And I'm going to put into the type frame, yeah, you can't see the type frame here simply because I have it turned off. So let me go in here and actually show frame edges. So you can actually see this frame that I had marqueed. That's the container. The inserting point is representing where if I type something from the keyboard, it will actually appear there. That is what we call the insertion point. Command A. Every time I say command, you can think of control key for the PC. I'm working on a Mac, so it's Command A, and that selects everything, and then I can delete it. There's my insertion point. I'm going to put some fake copy in here, what we call Greek copy or Greeking, placeholder copy. Right here, you can fill it up, boom, and there it is. It's actually, if I zoom in here, you can see that basically it is not Greek, but Latin. And if you want to see where the paragraphs are, we simply go to the type menu and say, select at the very bottom of the type menu, show hidden characters. This is pretty good for beginners because it will actually show here in blue characters that do not print but are actual keystrokes. This is a return key down here, and you can see here at the far lower right, there's a hatch symbol, a number sign, octothorpe. It's got lots of different names. It is representative of the end of the copy there. Now, if I use my text tool and say I want to insert right here after this word doloptai, a return key. In other words, I want to break it here. Watch, I'm going to hit the return key. It's going to insert that return key, and it's going to switch, make two paragraphs here, and you can clearly see here every time I insert a return key here, it gives a, it forces a new paragraph, and then the line of type is forced down one line. You don't ever want to go like this to space out vertically between paragraphs. What you have here is, you can see right up here, this is the leading. The leading is 14.4. It's on auto leading. 12-point type on auto leading gives you 14.4 point type. The reason is that auto leading is 120% by default of the typeface size. And so if the type size is 12, 12 times 12 is 144. That's where you get that. You can clearly see that if I wanted to say make this first paragraph here, I'm going to select this entire first paragraph, and I'm going to apply character formatting. To each character, I will apply this. So I want to make it, instead of 12-point, I want to make it 10-point. Only the selected characters will be affected when you change the character format. And you can see here now, it went down to 12-point. Well, 12 is easily understood to be 120% of 10, so you can see that. If I come down here and just select the word Ipsen and change the type size, let's make it a 24, only that word changes. Now notice the spacing between the line above it has increased because it's on auto. 28.8 is 120% of 24. If I wanted to keep everything, I'm going to come down here and remind myself, this is the original, 14.4. If I wanted everything to remain at 14.4, then I could just select this paragraph, and notice it says it's on auto, and that's why you're getting different leading on different lines, because you have different type sizes on each line. So if I want to just highlight this and type in 14, I'm going to round it down to 14. All the type is forced now to be 14. So even though this here is 12 and this here is 24, all of this is 14. And notice in the box where it says type size, it's blank. And that's because I have at least 2 different values involved in all of the text that's been highlighted. I do have one at 12 and one at 24. So I understand that's why it is that color. That is, it's blank. And so if I want to make it all back to 12, then I could force it to 12, hit the tab key, and then everything that's selected goes back to 12. That's pretty much what character formatting is about. Any character selected has that applied. You can select a single paragraph, a single character, a single word, several words, or an entire paragraph, or everything. If I wanted to bring everything back to where it was before, I would just want to select everything really quick. And notice I can't go like this and select everything, because right here at the lower right-hand corner, this little red box with the red plus, that means there's more type than fits in the box. That's because I've been messing with it, and originally it fit, but now it doesn't. So I'm going to have to take my direct select tool here to resize this box, make it bigger, so now the box is bigger to hold all of the content. If I make a box smaller and the box is smaller than what to be contained, you can see the spillover, and it's represented by this red plus. So since some of it's outside the box and I really can't select it without resizing, opening the box up and then selecting everything, that's just a lot of work. So what I'm going to do is I can go double click to select the word. I can go triple click to select the entire line. I can go quadruple click to select the entire paragraph, which consists of all of the keystrokes between the return keys. Or I can fipple click, quintal, click it 5 times, and it'll select everything, even what spills over. It selects the entire story. Okay, we'll get to story some other time, but you can see right here that there is a story editor, and that allows you to see what is actually spilled over, what is called overset. Okay, not too much. So if I had to fit everything in there, there's tricks to doing that, and that's called copy fitting, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But we don't want to do space space between paragraphs, vertical spacing by hitting the return key more than once. If we want to do some spacing in front of the paragraph, then we have to use paragraph formatting. So let's go down here to paragraph formatting. And notice, because it's contextual, whatever paragraph I have selected, you can see the values up here in the control box. Everything here says it's zeroed out. That is what it is by default. If I want to make some space to go in front of this paragraph here, I don't have to select the entire paragraph. This is not character formatting. This is paragraph formatting now. Every character that is selected here is part of a single paragraph, the same paragraph. So if I apply a paragraph format to one of those lines or one of those words or anywhere within the paragraph, the entire paragraph has to behave the same. That's why we have all the alignment listed as paragraph formatting, because everything's either left or center or aligned right, or it can be justified. And you can justify it with the last line is aligned left. And watch this. Let me move this over here a little bit so that you can see the effect. This is called fully justified. Notice it's aligned on the left and it's aligned on the right. And the last line of the paragraph is shoved to the left. I can say, hey, I want the last line of the paragraph to be justified centered. Okay? Okay. Can I do it with its aligned right? Unfortunately, I don't know why it doesn't have this, but it used to be, but doesn't. I can justify all lines. And now it takes all of the spacing between all of the words and equally spaces it out. It looks a little too fluffy. Okay, it might work if you want to have a paragraph that's exactly a rectangle. There's the way to go, but you would need to do some more advanced adjustment of this to make it look a little bit better, because it seems to stick out from the rest of the paragraphs. The spacing, the word spacing just is not equal. So let me undo what I just did. This is a command you should be familiar with, and you should operate from the keyboard. Command Z takes the previous step you did and executes it. So if I go Command Z again, it takes me back to the previous one. If I go Command Z again, it takes me back to where it was. If I want to say, oop, I liked it the way I was 2 steps ahead, then I can redo what I had previously undid. So if I go Command Shift Z, Command Shift Z, Command Shift Z, so it can take me forward or backward into my redos and undos, and undo the redos, and etc. So you should be familiar with that one. Most of these quick key commands, like save, close, cut, copy, paste, and here's the magical one, select all, A. Notice those are the keystrokes right in the lower left-hand corner, right really close to the shift, the control, the option, or the command key. And so what you can do here is access them through these quick keystrokes. So instead of hitting this thing 3 times, 1, 2, 3 to 1, 2, 3, 4 to get the whole thing, I can just select this entire paragraph by having just my cursor in the paragraph and go Command A, and it will select the entire story. Before I said instead of going 4 times to select the entire paragraph, I meant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times to select the whole thing. Command A does that for you. So again, I want to push, when you're talking about formatting copy, you want to do it quickly, and a lot of times you need to pay attention to these shortcuts here. Some of them are a little complicated, Option, Shift, Command V, but for the most part, they're fairly simple. Okay, so let's review this here. We have to select something before we can affect something. If I want to select all of these characters, I must select all of these characters, okay? What can I do to select it here? I want to pick the color. I'm going to change the color, and there it is. See, so it only affects that which you select. Okay? So whatever I have selected is what is affected. If I want to just affect these characters, then I use character formatting. And these are all the different ways that you can select character formatting. One, this here you can use is you can show what typefaces you want to choose. These pop-out submenus here, represented by these rectangles or little arrows, if I click on that one, notice there are two fonts in this typeface. Each font is a separate electronic file that will describe and draw all of the keystrokes developed for that font. Some fonts have more keystrokes than others. The real cheap fonts, like the free ones you download from the internet, a lot of them just have the basic alphabet, maybe uppercase only. Maybe it might have numerals 0 to 9. But if it's a full font, then it'll have a lot of keystrokes, and they're developed in this case to set them as a marker felt typeface design in the wide type style. And so that will change. This is the type style. Notice I selected a typeface felt, and there are the two. Let me come down here with what is called a larger family. Like, let's take a look here at Baskerville. Well, Baskerville has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different fonts. So if I were to select Baskerville up here, there's the regular, that's the type style, and there are the 6 different type styles. Each one is a separate electronic file. Then we have here the type size. Leading is the space between the baseline of one line of type to the baseline of the next line of type. Baseline is what the type sets on. It's an invisible line. We have all caps, where every character becomes a capital letter. Let me go down here where it's quid, capital Q, and lowercase UID. If we go small caps here, notice they are still all caps, but the lowercase letters, which are also called the minuscules, they become capitalized, but they're smaller. They're at what is called the X height. The X height is the height of a lowercase letter x. So instead of holding down the Shift key and typing all caps, I suggest you apply the formatting to it. It's always best to format type with formatting controls instead of using keystrokes. That's why we don't use several return keys for space before or space after a paragraph. We can do that by coming down here under paragraph formatting controls and coming up here and saying, I want to change the space before this paragraph. So then I just change it, and you can see the spacing is not at all relevant to a return key, but a format applied to this paragraph right here. We also can do space after that paragraph. Excuse me. That's not it. Where is it? Right over here. Space after. We can indent from the left. Notice there's no keystrokes that makes it indent. It's formatting. Here we can do one is called the first line left indent. In other words, if we want the first line to indent more than the whole paragraph indents, we can control that. We can also indent it backwards. Look, we're indenting it one pica and 9 points. And if I go back -1 pica 9 points, it takes the first line right back to the beginning, and I can't go further than that. I cannot go back because then it would go outside the box. But I can take it all the way back to where it was. And here what we have is called a hanging outdented first line. And that's how you would control it, simply by controlling paragraph formatting. Other paragraph formattings we have is the last line can be right indented. Let's come down here and show you a little bit differently. Let's say the last line is a right indent. can't do that because it's already all the way to the left. But I can do the last, let's see, what we got here. I can do a right indent for the entire paragraph. Okay. So there's a number of things you can do here to control the formatting of entire paragraphs. Just like I said, do not use a return key more than once to control vertical spacing. The same thing goes for horizontal spacing. A lot of people, they want to indent that first paragraph and they hit the space bar, represented here by a single dot. You don't want to do that, because if you want to remove that, now you got to go back here and get rid of all of those keystrokes. A single tab key is enough. And then you can use formatting to control the tabbing. I'll get into that a little bit later, but not at this time. But you don't want to go like this. In fact, I should show you why not. If I wanted to indent it that much, well, let me come up here into the window, and I'm going to pull up, where are my tabs? Where to put the tab formats? Maybe under here. Well, I guess I'm thinking of Microsoft Word, because here you use the rulers to set your tabs. And so let's go up here and let's view the rulers. See, they're being hidden, and that's why I can't see it. The rulers are being shown up. You can see here on the far left, I have my vertical ruler, and my control palette up here is hiding these rulers, okay? So let me show you something right here. Instead of having the tabs go in 1, 2, 3, having 4 tabs, I'm going to replace that with just 1 tab. But what I'm going to do is come up here, and I'm going to, I know it's under here somewhere, the tabs. There we go. How can I miss it? I'm used to doing it with the keystroke Shift Command T. So I'm pulling up the tabs, and you can see this tab window will appear right above the paragraph that's selected if you've got enough vertical and horizontal space around it. And so I can see here that by default, 1 tab goes over 3 picas, or 1/2 inch. If I were to tab it again, it would go over to, you can see one at a time. You don't want to do that one. You just tab it once, and then using this left justified tab, and by the way, I just sent to you today in the class mailing list a reference to a monthly newsletter that I get on typography, and there's an article in that one that I specifically mentioned to you about using tabs, and so you might want to review this a little bit more. Works just like in Word. I want to put a tab, what did I say about right here previously? There's the tab stop, and notice with a single tab it goes over, and I can control where that goes simply by moving that tab stop. Okay. And so again, you want to use formatting, the tab formatting, only need the key tab once. Same thing with spaces, you don't want to do that one. So if it's a return key, a space, space bar, a tab key, once, that's enough. If you need to do it more than that, then you should get into some sort of formatting. Well, that should take us to pretty much understanding about character formatting and paragraph formatting. And you want to, experiment a little bit as to what they are. Underlining, a superscript, strike through, how you can control the width of something. Go through and experiment with this, or baseline shifting, and have some fun with it and understand that, because then there shouldn't be any reason why in your layouts you cannot properly format what you need to do to make the type look the way you want it to look.